turn it over to Chief Helms, who's going to talk a little bit more about the CCP task force that you've been hearing about.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Chief James mentioned something that I had to take a note of before I spoke, and I think it's very important, and I'm glad she did. And she said that public safety is number one in our community. That's very important, and I just want to take note of that, and I want to mention it because in our county, and she mentioned that Stockton is our county seat, and I'm sure you've all seen the city of Stockton in the news. Public safety is the most important thing we need to be concerned about, in my view. Recidivism is important, but public safety is number one. So and the reason I say that is because I seriously believe that that's much of the reason that we have such a strong relationship in our county with our among our CCP. The other thing that's important to recognize is that these are relationships that existed long before realignment came along. We've always gotten along well together. We've always worked well together, and we've shared information together. We've been successful together. And the good thing about realignment for us, or one of the many good things about it for us, is that it's made those relationships stronger. So I just shout out to Chief James for that. Realignment couldn't have hit us at a worse time. We were in a position in our county when realignment hit us, just like many of you. The economy was going sideways, and municipal governments were hurting badly. We saw police staffing reductions as much as 30%. 30% fewer law enforcement officers working. And then all of a sudden realignment hits us, and we have this whole different set of challenges to deal with. So being the one police chief member, the one representative of police departments and city government on our CCP, and going to the group and asking for almost $750,000 to fund police officers for a task force, I got to tell you, it was a hard sell at first. But we put it together, we made it work, and the proposal got approved, and we got off and running. So the task force started out with one sergeant who's a member of the Stockton Police Department. Actually, he's here today. Sergeant Sean Johansson is in the back. I want to give a shout out to him. And then 3 police officers, one from Lodi, one from Manteca, one from Tracy. Chief James also threw a probation officer in that's not part of this funding, but is supported by realignment funding. And the other 2 members of the task force that are here are Nestor Mejia and Rich Hohentanner. And they're doing a great job. So we got this thing up and running with the 4 cops and the 1 probation officer. And then we got some additional funding that came along our way, and I'll call that phase 2. That's the Prop 30 money, the money that was negotiated through California Police Chiefs Association with the governor's office and the finance department. And as a result of that, we're going to be adding, we've already added some of these people, an extra police officer from Stockton, a deputy sheriff to help deal with the unincorporated areas and our contract cities, a crime analyst, which is going to be very important to the work we're doing, as well as some training and a nice, healthy reserve fund. And we wanted to use that money as was intended, to work regionally and collaboratively with our partners. So what are the mission and goals? It's pretty straightforward. We made a commitment, the law enforcement executives in our county made a commitment to support realignment. We wanted to work on reducing crime that was especially those crimes caused by AB 109 offenders, working in partnership with the CCP, and really trying to maintain the quality of life in our communities. Compliance checks and searches that's just such a basic staple of what a task force is all about. It's very important to what this effort is. And you've heard about fugitives and bench warrants. We had a huge issue in our county, we still do, with people who don't show up for court. They don't report to their supervisors, and a warrant ends up getting issues. And the task force has been able to move on with that and deal with that stuff very quickly. Finally, referrals to service providers, and we wanted to be regional and flexible. We're working very closely with the Violent Crimes Unit and the Violent Crimes Court. Judge Johnson has a direct connection to the task force. If he wants an offender who's being a problem, needs to be picked up, the task force goes and gets that person. It's been very effective. The other thing, too, I want to emphasize this is not just a hook and book type of structure. When we set this up, we told these police officers that use discretion. You don't have to throw everybody in jail. Some people definitely need to be there, but sometimes it's a good idea to give somebody a break. Sometimes it's a good idea to refer somebody to a service provider. And they've responded well to that. They've made this thing their own entity, and they're doing that. And we have success stories both on the violent end of being able to apprehend people who desperately need to be in jail or desperately need to be back in prison, and then the ones that are actually trying to make changes. And it's encouraging to see that our task force is supporting that. Results, the numbers are up on the screen if you'd like to see them. This is actually an error. This is not for the first, for year to date. This is actually just for the third quarter from July through September. But they're doing very well. They're making a difference. And again, it's that collaboration and working partnership with other people in our field.